One.
Good afternoon. We're here for a Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee work session. We have 3 items on the agenda. The first one is an OLO report, street classification, the master planning process discussion, and we will turn it over to the planning department to walk us through that after we hear from OLO directly.
Just 2 minutes to set. Is my mic on? The light's not on. All right. 2 minutes just to set the stage. So this is a follow-up work session. In July, this committee, joint committee with T&E, met to discuss the OLO report on street classification and the master planning process. Among the things in that report, we found that once a plan is finally approved, either a master plan, a functional master plan, those recommendations, those policies are fixed in that document. But the policies and recommendations keep evolving outside of that document in other master plans that can indeed amend the previous one. But the reader would be unaware of any subsequent policy amendments that appear in an entirely different plan. So at the work session in July, we raised 2 questions. One, how can the planning department make up-to-date street classification information more accessible to the public? And more specifically, should the planning department embed direct links to street classification tools in area master plan homepages? And then a second, a related question is, what other dynamic planning and development information should appear on master plan homepages? We started the discussion in July, and then Chair Friedson suggested that we have a separate work session in the fall to discuss this. And so that's why we're here today, and the board does have, the planning department does have a presentation.
Good afternoon. For the record, I'm Chris Pfeiffer, Communications and Engagement Chief with Montgomery Planning. So based on the discussion in July, Montgomery Planning is providing updates on the following 2 discussion points. How can the planning department make up-to-date street classifications information more accessible to the public? Should Montgomery Planning embed direct links to street classification tools in area master plan homepages? And what other dynamic planning and development information should appear on area master plan homepages? In response, Montgomery Planning has created a planning resources component that features links to the planned streets classification map and the planned bicycle network map to all of our neighborhood level and plan web pages. On the screen, you'll see a screenshot of an active master plan page. I believe this is the Germantown plan page with the new component on it. I've included a call out to a screenshot to the approved bicycle network map, which if you clicked on that link, you would be prompted to go to that page, and the same thing would happen for all the links, the various different links on that page. We've also included links to development and zoning web pages for users who might have inquiries about those topics to take you directly to those pages and the searches on those. We're exploring ways to make these links more customizable. For example, on these maps, we might have master plan boundaries, a filter on there that you can select and navigate through that, as well as, for example, in this Germantown example, you would click on one of those links, it would take you right to that spot on the map for each of these pages. And we also already include embedded development maps on some of these pages as well. During the discussion in July, councils requested that Montgomery Planning look into how we can also more clearly present which plans are being amended by ongoing master plans. This is an example from the pedestrian master plan. We recognize that this is hard to read and is not inviting as one of the first things you see in a plan. So that said, this is an official resolution. It has to remain with the plan, but we figure we can maybe move that to the back. This is, and I know this on this screen, it's a little hard to see, but a new way to present that information. So this table format allows us to show which plans are being amended by type and is scalable for the smaller area plans as well as the county-wide functional plans. We wanted to show you the example of the pedestrian master plan here because from, it's a county-wide functional plan, and from a plan amendment standpoint, it's one of our more complicated ones. So for the master plans and the area master plans and sector plans, this would be a little less extensive, but we're hoping that this will more clearly show what plans are being amended. And that's all I have for my updates.
So the main question that I have, I think that was the question that came out of our prior conversation that was illuminated from the OLO report, is, this is helpful for somebody who really understands, the process. But if you're an ordinary person and you pull up a plan where it would be likely to be available, is that updated, and how is it updated? Where would it be updated? Because this says this is what legally is happening. So this is a good chart that explains that process, that we would put in the resolution the following, impacts, and we have the full list. That's in every resolution, and all of us know that. And this displays this in a clearer way than that, which is good. But the next part of it is, okay, for all of the area master plans, for instance, each one of these individually, if somebody lived in one of those communities and had a question, or owned a property in one of those communities and had a question, and pulled up one of those area master plans, or searched for one of those area master plans to say, okay, what does this mean for the shopping center in my community? What does this mean for my parcel? What does this mean for the neighbor's parcel? What can or can't happen? Are they going to find the most accurate, correct information? And if not, how do we move towards that?
Sure. We can, we have a web team updated to making sure that this information is up to date. So I would say, we can beef up, what are on these plans. We have neighborhood pages that show. Sure. Yeah, so that show what's going on. I mean, this component that is highlighted on the right can be more expansive. We can add policies in there and things like that. So I think the answer to your question is just being more on top of the update.
Yeah, it's more than just being more on top of the update. I mean, just to be clear, the question is, County Council takes action on a plan. Resolution is approved, it's done. Then there is a bunch of implementation then that has to happen where, all of the other, related plans, impacted plans get amended accordingly. The question is, we know that that's legally what has happened. The question is, functionally and from a communication standpoint to the public, how is that reflected, and where would somebody find that? That's the crux of what the OLO report was identifying, that to the ordinary person, it would be very difficult to know what happened. Let me turn it to OLO to.
So I find
Anka?
this slide particularly helpful in that it provides the links, but the context that I think that Chair Friesman is talking about is a very clear message saying the static document that you're on the homepage for has changed. And if you would like to see the most recent street classification or development, click here, right? So that you have the resources there, but the reader needs to know that the static document is just that, a static document, and the updates are there. Pam, did you want to?
So I had a suggestion. You could add dates, which might be helpful, right? So like all master plans have the date, and then maybe, and I know that's hard because these pages you want to live and not have them, out of date or wrong, but take a ZTA change that changes something related to zoning in a community, and you could have under zoning, and then you could have a date, which is a date that's later than the master plan date. So someone's, even just by looking at the date, you're keyed in that you might want to click on that. I still think some explanatory text would be great, but I think even adding dates to these might quickly jar your recognition that something's changed.
Yeah, and could I just point out, there's a little bit of a disconnect here, at least that I'm now identifying. It's a question of whether or not it is a static document. And if it's not a static document, which from a policy and legal standpoint, it really isn't a static document by definition. If we are changing it based on a further action, then it's not static. And the question is, should it be on the website as a static document? And if it is, how do we reflect that it's changed? If not, can't we just update the document since it isn't static?
I think that that's difficult because you have, as a council body, approved a resolution with all the language changes from the planning board draft. So you've literally approved the exact language as the document's going to sit on the website. And I get that you've approved other legislative things later that might impact that document, and that would just be a question for our legal staff, that can you actually go back and make that change to the resolution-approved document itself if those other things occur? I think it's better to point to them.
Subsequent resolution, well, maybe we can get legal clarification on that. I do think that that's the crux of the issue. You're not going to be able, if we can't do something that is clearer, then explanatory boxes are not going to solve it, because someone's going to search for the document, they're going to read the document, and whatever the document says, that's what they're going to think is what they're basing it off of. So either we shouldn't use the document and we should use something else if the document isn't something that we can lean on, or we should get clarification on that. I mean, generally, if we pass a law and the law amends a previous law, then we can update the law because we've done it. It's not like the planning department is doing and overriding an act of the council. But anyway, I think this is a step in the right direction. I don't think it's quite at the level that I think solves the problem, but I think we're moving in that direction, and I think added clarity would be helpful. I don't see committee colleagues, so let me turn it over to Councilmember Lukey, who initiated this process and I think has some interest here.
Yeah, and I saw you, Director Sartori, definitely have something to say. I'm sitting here listening to Chair Friedson, and I'm going, yes, I totally get what he's saying. And also, I'm thinking of land use documents in general. When there's a deed, but then there's another piece, it's in some other part of the land records, they're not attached, that doesn't get amended the way a statute does. It's funky because real estate and land use documents just are. They're very niche, right? And it's vastly different than how we handle other statutory amendments, or how they may, would appear as a text thing versus maps and so on and so forth. So I do think this is definitely getting to where I wanted us to be able to get to, but it is still in a place that's higher level than what I think a lot of our residents who are trying to engage with us on land use issues, and then if they're not able to read and review the pieces together in an accurate way, they fill in the gaps with assumptions that are incorrect. So then they come to testify at a hearing and they're testifying about something that's not even what's before the body, right? And I'd love to be able to reduce that and make sure people have accurate things. So I do think it's worth checking with the council attorney about how that lives, meaning could you have, to your point, the static master plan that was approved because it should live as the thing that was in the resolution and must survive in that way, no different than a deed. A deed may have a separate amendment. We should be able to link to and perhaps have, to Chair Friedson's point, a living version that is, in fact, the layered, updated document, because there will also be a subsequent master plan review as we review our master plans and update them over time. And then that new one would replace the static document, and it would contain any other things that had affected it over time, right? So there should be a way, though, that you see the original master plan, because that is of its own legal significance. But also, yes, something more than boxes needs to be put together to explain this to folks.
So, for the record, Jason Sartori, Planning Director. I think this is great feedback. When we've talked about this internally, we kind of see where we are right now almost as an interim step, recognizing that it's easy for us to add links to every single one. I think we have some 80 plus pages for master plans and communities. And it's easy for us to say, to put up a link to the current road map, the current zoning map. It's much more harder for us to go through and say, okay, this plan that was adopted in 1989 has been amended by, maybe 15 other plans that have come since. And so we have to go through all of those and say, which plans have changed this? And so kind of as a next step, what I envision us having on these pages is a table that says, yes, this plan has been modified by all of the following plans, and we could put them in order of which they occurred, or the most recent at the top, and we could provide links to those plans so that you can go and see that. The next step, though, is even harder, and that's saying, well, how was this plan modified by these? If you look at our current plans, and even in that resolution, we identify this laundry list of plans that are modified by this new plan that you've just adopted, but we don't say exactly how. We just know, well, we made some changes to roads, and so the roads that you see in that other plan are no longer valid. But so getting to that, well, exactly how has this been modified is going to be an extensive amount of work when you talk about the many, many numbers of plans that we have and having to go through and say, okay. So when we get a development application that comes in, we will go through and say, well, this applies to this specific site. What are all the plans that apply to this site? And then we start with the earliest one and say, okay, what does that say? Okay, did any subsequent plan change that? It's easy when you're talking about a specific site, but when you're talking about an entire master plan area, it'll take some time. But I hear the feedback that we're getting, and we will work to try to get to something that makes it easier for someone who's going to this page to look for information about this. They don't know to go to the master plan of highways page.
Right.
They're going to the Germantown one.
Yeah. I want them to know better how to follow the breadcrumbs.
Yes.
That's the ask. Yep.
Got it.
Well, I'm going to suggest we think about putting on your work plan this project, because one, I think there's a benefit to the public, but two, there will be a benefit to the planning department. As you do each time, it will make each of those processes better, faster, and more efficient, and much more clear to the public. So I understand it's a big undertaking. I understand that you're doing it on an individual ad hoc basis now, through the development review process. But I don't think that is in the best interest of the public, and I don't think it's in the best interest of the planning department to have to go through an extensive process just to understand what you're dealing with, just to start the process. And it's not really fair to community members or to applicants to not really know until you've done that review. It'd be much better to do it on the front end. So I would just throw that out there for thoughts and consideration. Let me turn to colleagues. Vice President Jawanda.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate the dialogue, and I appreciate the OLO report and the request to put it in, and agree that I think it does make sense as a project to kind of have a goal of getting this done and updating it as much as possible. I was curious if the exercise had sparked any other ideas around just how to make things more publicly accessible or understandable, and I think even outside of this specific context. I think our third item, we're going to talk about the pipeline, which is an example of, work that you've been doing to understand that more. And if we were to do a work plan, I'd want you to think about that. If you have thoughts now, but I'd want you to think about what else is pretty arcane and not understandable. I know the whole topic of planning and can be that way, but I for example have asked. I've talked to OLO and you guys about the overlaying incentives that we've done over time, and just what that means. Say you're an applicant, and you want to know what can I get, or you're a community member, you want to know what have we done, or if you're a council member that's new, 5 of us are leaving, right? What has happened, just so I would want to ask you now and to ask you to think about, if we were to do put something in your work plan, I would want it not to be just this, but other things All right, good. I like when there's whispering. That means there's some thought already. But that other things that might not be fully understandable to the public or to just a layperson that we could, you can't do them all at once, but like what are the buckets of things that we could try to make more understandable, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So I thank you for that. I think there are a couple things that we could do just off the top of my head when we get into the discussion on the development pipeline. We'll show you how we're moving towards a dashboard to be able to present those data. And I think that is a tool that we're using more and more that kind of conveys a lot of different types of information in a way that people today seem to consume information. So, we can see if there are opportunities for us to do more of that. I will also highlight that we recently did a communications preferences survey that was statistically significant to get a sense of how people in the county want to be communicated to, what means, what tools, what apps, what methods, whether it's email or letters, and to get a good sense of how people want to receive information, and also how they already engage with the planning department and where we may be missing on certain things. And so that, I think, will inform some of the questions that you're asking.
You already get the results of that, or you're...
The survey is completed. We're finalizing the results, so we should have those shortly.
And then I would also add that what we're doing with the Community Planning Academy is really it's outstanding. And I'm really excited. I'll be talking to you all about that at the semi-annual in a couple of weeks. It's the feedback that we're getting from people who are participating in what we do for the first time has been just great. So we're hoping to continue to strengthen that and to get our information. And we're getting feedback saying, I don't understand this because the way it's presented on the website doesn't make sense. So that's really helpful for us to know. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Councilmember Funny Gonzalez.
Thank you. I was going to say exactly that, that I look forward to you guys getting feedback from the Planning Academy, because that's actually the place where you should be getting all this type of information, if people are actually understanding this. And I love how you have updated the website. When you go to the planning website, you click on communities, and then you have the West County, East County, Up County, and you click on it, and you see all the master plans per community. And I think that's it has improved a lot because of that feature. So thank you. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments, feedback on this? All right. We'll appreciate the work. Clearly, it's a work in progress, but a shared commitment to try to make sure that this moves forward in a way that's more transparent to the public, to applicants, and better for the staff. So hopefully we can move in that direction. Appreciation to OLO for the great work, to Councilmember Lukey for raising these issues and for her attention to this, and look forward to continuing the conversation. I do think coming back and thinking through what this could look like so we could actually resolve it, not just try to find the Band-Aids for it, I think would be best case. So let's figure out what that looks like and let's try to execute it. With that, we're going to move on to the second item, which is reorganization of the planning department. There was a significant restructuring and reorganization of the staff and of the way in which the agency is deployed to meet needs. So wanted to go through and review that. We had discussed that at a previous conversation during the budget, and we decided that we were going to come back to do that. We had talked about that previously and then essentially ratified it, so to speak, in the committee session. So that is why we're here. I don't think any comments from council staff at the outset, so why don't we turn it over to the planning director and planning board chair as needed to walk us through this.
Yeah, thank you, Artie. Here at the planning board, I'm going to send it over to Jason Sartori, who has the best information on how his department has been reorganized. Thank you. But I would say that in talking to the board beforehand, when he presented to the board, that he thought it was very important because it hadn't been done in decades, and based on how some of the new county regulations of how environment is to be, we want to focus on environmental resilience and some other things. We thought that it was the best that it be reorganized, and Jason will go through it in detail, but the board was very, very supportive of the reorganization. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Harris. So again, for the record, Jason Sartori, Planning Director, and I'm pleased to be here today along with our two Deputy Directors, Robert Cronenberg and Bridget Breuer. We'll jump into it and give a little bit of context. So when a department comes under new leadership, it's common for the new director to reprioritize efforts or reorganize the department. And as a new department director myself nearly 2 years ago, given everything we had just gone through with the departure of our previous director and planning board, I really had zero interest at that time coming in and impulsively imposing significant changes. Any changes we would implement would only come after due process involving appropriate input and extensive strategizing. So one of my first priorities for the department at that time was to prepare a strategic plan, as you see in front of you here. As far as we knew among our leadership, and I've been with the department for 10 years, Bridget's been with us for 12 years, and Robert's been with us for 25 years, we, in all of our awareness, we had never had a strategic plan for the department. So to me, this seemed like a kind of an opportune time to be preparing one. We not only did we have new leadership, but we had a new general plan that established new land use priorities and direction for the county. And look, our staff consists of unbelievably talented, brilliant, dedicated, innovative professionals. But from my perspective, the upheaval of our leadership a few years back, just a year earlier at the time, really left our staff feeling a little bit disheartened, downtrodden, and listless. They needed inspiration. And I see that as part of our role in the director's office, providing that on a daily basis. And I knew that working with our staff to prepare a strategic plan would serve as an inspiring reminder to them of the important role that we play in the county and the impact that we can have, the reason why they've chosen to be in this profession. We worked on the strategic plan for nearly a year, engaging current staff, former staff, community members, and other external stakeholders, including inviting the members of this committee to provide your thoughts. Ultimately, the strategic plan confirmed our values as a department, identified a new vision and a new mission statement, and elevated 5 priorities focused on our employees, the communities we serve and the partners with which we work, the efficiency of our efforts, promoting innovation, and serving as leaders in our field and in the county. The strategic plan identified 149 actions for us to pursue over the next 5 years, including 2 that related to our structure. The first, to assess the current structure's ability to address strategic priorities. And the second was to pursue structural changes to increase flexibility, responsiveness, productivity, and efficiency, and best address priorities and achieve the department's mission. So with the completion of the strategic plan at the end of last year, Robert, Bridget, and I set out to pursue those 2 actions and to determine what, if any, structural changes we needed to make. The ensuing effort took us about 6 months to identify the appropriate structure, hold the necessary conversations with staff, and implement the changes. Our last comprehensive update to the department structure was in 2011, and a lot has changed since then. County priorities, county policies, the world around us. The county has adopted the Climate Action Plan, endorsed housing targets, established Vision Zero goals. The residents we serve have grown more diverse. New businesses have come to the county. Some have left the county. A lot has changed, and we need to be as nimble enough as an agency serving the community to change with it. We found that our previous structure lacked the flexibility needed to be successful under the realm of Thrive, and that realignment was necessary to support the sustainable corridor-focused growth envisioned in Thrive and to prioritize critical issues and efforts like climate resilience, transportation safety, and community building through placemaking. The primary goal of our restructuring has been to better align our department with Thrive, with our new strategic plan, and with our department priorities. Through and through, I think that you can see those 5 priorities that I mentioned embedded throughout the changes that we've made. These changes include updated regional planning area boundaries to focus on corridors and activity centers, new functional divisions to elevate different planning disciplines such as the environment, transportation, urban design, placemaking, and historic preservation, and the merging of teams with synergistic functions. And the impacts that we're seeing include an enhanced ability to address current challenges and seize future opportunities, and a strengthened capacity to serve the community and fulfill our mission, which is to collaboratively plan for equitable, sustainable, and economically healthy communities. Ultimately, our new structure helps transform our strategic goals into concrete actions, realigning our organization to better serve the evolving needs of the county. As we contemplated, evaluated, and debated potential changes to our structure, we focused initially on functions, not on people. We literally had pieces of paper with every single function that we could think that we serve, and we thought, what makes sense to put together? We didn't ask ourselves who should be in what division. We began by identifying all of those functions that we provide, and then, in alignment with our strategic plan, we grouped them in and considered which would most efficiently be addressed together. We then formed teams and divisions around those functions. And lastly, we assigned staff to the teams based on their expertise and their experience. But along the way, we evaluated every change that we considered against the restructured priorities you see on this slide. Quite literally, for each structure option we considered, we had a table that we checked off which of these the change achieved. And if a change didn't achieve any of these priorities, we didn't make that change. We weren't making change just for the sake of change. We had to have a purpose and achieve a purpose. And so you can see here those priorities were strengthening our focus on environmental planning, economic development, and housing, enhancing our impact and innovation, demonstrating a focus on East County key corridors and activity centers, increasing our capacity for placemaking, collaborating with intention, transparency, and integrity, especially as it relates to addressing historic inequities, maximizing efficiencies to ensure that we have clear and consistent operations, and providing flexibility for workload balance and resource allocation, and then finally, advancing our departmental excellence to deliver outstanding planning as is expected. So the main point here is that the reorg was done thoughtfully, strategically, and quite deliberately. So the new, as I mentioned earlier, the new structure introduced 4 new divisions. Our design, placemaking, and policy division combined the housing, infrastructure, and zoning team that we had previously with our urban design staff that had been spread throughout our department. And this is to implement the Thrive recommendations related to design, placemaking, and more housing for all. This team is led by Atul Sharma, who is here today. He has been with the department for 9 years and really specializes in all 3 of those, design, placemaking, and policy. The Historic Preservation Division, this was creating this as its own division responds to the increased volume of work that this team is doing, particularly related to racial equity and social justice and understanding those historic inequities. The division is also unique in that it, in addition to the work it does for the department, like our markers program, the equity initiative, supporting our master plan and regulatory efforts, administrating our burial sites inventory, and managing the historic designation process, it also serves the Historic Preservation Commission, which is an executive branch commission. They meet twice a month, and this staff supports their work. The division maintains a master plan with 24 historic districts, 455 historic sites, the locational atlas with 13 additional districts and 129 additional sites, and 13 preservation easements. And this division is currently led by Rebecca Ballo, who you're all familiar with, as the acting chief. She's been with the commission for 7.5 years. The Transportation Planning Division aims to ensure consistency in transportation planning initiatives and development application reviews. It also seeks to better align our efforts with multimodal transportation and complete streets priorities. Dave Anspacher is the division chief, and he's been with the department for 16 years. And finally, the Environment and Climate Division brings together environmental planners, our Reforest Montgomery staff, and the Forest Conservation Enforcement team to coordinate policies, programs, and projects that address climate change and promote resilience. This is also where we are expecting, just like with transportation, to see increased consistency in how we approach environmental reviews and master plan recommendations. And Christina Sorrento leads this division. She previously led our Intake and Regulatory Coordination Division and worked in our General Counsel's office. She's been with the Commission for 17 years. Now, we've heard some external concerns that consolidating the functional planning staff in this way will create silos, leading to conflicting recommendations or give the functional teams too much weight in the review of development applications. We think it's actually the opposite. So tearing down silos in an organization isn't just about better communication. It's about building a culture of shared purpose, transparency, and trust. Silos form when teams operate in isolation, hoard information, or prioritize their own goals over the organization's mission. So this comes down to having strong leadership at the helm of these divisions and in the director's office. And from our office, we've been making it abundantly clear to all of our teams that coordination is a priority. We don't want the regional planning teams who are leading our development review or master plan efforts to be left having to sort out conflicting recommendations from different functional teams. So these 4 division leaders, they're outstanding, they're strong, they're disciplined chiefs who are subject matter experts and who have the respect of their teams and outside parties and who understand our mission as a department and their specific role in it. They meet regularly to ensure coordination across their divisions and work out issues across their different disciplines. We also believe and are starting to see the benefits of consistency and support coming from this structure. For instance, previously, each area team had 1 or 2 environmental planners that worked on master plans and development review for that area. Without subject matter supervisors or leadership, there was much less consistency in approach and recommendations that they would make across the environmental staff. Similarly, it was easier for environmental staff to make recommendations from the perch of their expertise that were accepted by the lead reviewers or master plan managers because that was the deference that they would provide to their expertise. Now, all of those recommendations are being vetted through supervisors in the functional divisions for consistency in approach and consistency in the recommendations. And because the functional division leadership is committed to interdivision coordination, the department's mission, and the balancing of priorities, the comments from these teams reflect an understanding of the bigger picture. We're also seeing increased flexibility with these teams in balancing workload and maintaining coverage that when we've had an unexpected departure or extended leave. All of this was much more difficult to accommodate before with our old structure. We also believe that some functional separation is necessary for focus and expertise, and this allows us to support employee growth within their areas of expertise through mentorship and the pursuit of innovative subject matter initiatives. The goal isn't to eliminate silos entirely, but to connect them meaningfully so that they don't become barriers to our work. And lastly, I would note that we've been updating the formal job functions against which each of these functional division chiefs are evaluated on an annual basis. We've been updating them to include new job functions related to coordination across divisions, to hold them accountable to that. The new structure also has merged a few teams into existing divisions. The Research and Strategic Projects Division now includes our GIS team, which had previously been part of our IT division. This change helps better integrate our GIS analysts, researchers, and experts into our planning efforts by having a division chief that is intimately familiar with our planning initiatives. It also allows the department to realize efficiencies and advanced collaborations related to data sharing and research in a much more coordinated way. The division is led by Carrie McCarthy, who's also here today, and she's been with the department for just under 10 years. And then we renamed the Communications Division to the Communications and Engagement Division in recognition of the importance that engagement plays in our work and the vital role that team plays in advancing those efforts. We also integrated our Information Services team, which staffs our information counter, into this division. The info counter is often our first line of interaction with the public, and this will allow us to support and strengthen our customer service orientation. And as you met earlier, Chris Pfeiffer has been with the department for 11 years. He's the chief of our Communications and Engagement Division. Next, I'll talk about our new geographic focus. As a reminder, what you see on the screen now is how we organized our geographic area teams previously. In particular, I would note that all 3 teams were responsible for planning efforts in different parts of what we would all consider East County, which Thrive, our strategic plan, and the work of the Development Review Process Work Group all specifically highlight as a priority for us. The 3 updated regional planning divisions are what you see on the screen here now. The Up-County Planning Division is in green. This was made a little smaller than it was before, but it also picked up a few connected areas. It includes the Ag Reserve, and nearby activity centers in Damascus, Clarksburg, Germantown, Shady Grove, and Montgomery Village. This team will maintain a focus on agricultural initiatives, regulatory cases, and master plan efforts. And then East County Planning Division is shown in blue. This includes communities along several corridors: US 29, New Hampshire Avenue, Georgia Avenue, University Boulevard, and Veers Mill Road. The focus for this team is on corridor planning with a strong master plan and a strong development and review portfolio as well. And finally, the West County Planning Division in orange. This includes communities along 355 and River Road and west through Potomac, including Bethesda, North Bethesda, Friendship Heights, West Bard, Potomac Village, and the Life Sciences area. The focus here is on master plan implementation and building connections across existing plans along the corridors. The East County team division is led by Kerry Sanders, who has been with the department for 8 years. Patrick Butler, who's been with the commission for 18.5 years, is the chief of our Up-County Planning Division, and Elza Heisel-McCoy leads the West County Planning Division. Elza has been with the department for 19 years. One thing I would note is that while these new regions mean that our division chiefs have established new relationships with the communities and leaders within those neighborhoods, that's not necessarily the case with all of the staff in their divisions. We didn't simply transition teams with their chiefs. So we tried to maintain staff in areas where they had already built some relationships. So some of the old mid-county team members are now in West County planning because that's areas that they were familiar with and that they worked on. And the East County Planning Division actually has staff from all 3 of our old divisions. And even still, the chiefs have been working to build relationships by meeting with regional services center directors and others in the community, talking to the chiefs who may have handled those areas previously. And in some cases, I would note that some of the relationships already exist because some of these chiefs had other roles in the department that covered different areas of the county previously. And now, rounding out our leadership, our Information Technology and Innovation Division no longer has the GIS team, but continues to focus on efforts related to our IT infrastructure, hardware, software systems, networks, file management, Microsoft Teams environment, and most especially our cybersecurity efforts. This division is led by Vince Hugh, who has been with the department for 3.5 years. And our Management Services Division remains unchanged and continues to be led by Karen Warnick, who has been with the Commission for 33 years. The division manages our budget, procurement efforts, human resources, training initiatives, recruitment, and hiring, and more. And then finally, the Director's Office includes the 3 of us, as well as Khalid Afzal, who is our department lead for equity initiatives, and Paul Mortensen, who is our lead for planning innovation and design excellence initiatives. Paul is an accomplished architect who has been with the department for 11 years, and Khalid has been with the department for 28.5 years. And over that time has served in a wide variety of roles under a number of different organizational structures. And so here you could see is the high-level org chart that shows Robert, Bridget, and Paul reporting directly to me, and then Robert oversees the work of 6 of our divisions, and Bridget oversees the work of 5 divisions, as well as Khalid and our equity initiatives. So, how's it going? I've already talked to a little bit to some of this, but I would say really happy that we're here to be able to talk through this. The headline here is that we're less than 3 months into our new department structure, and we feel like it's going quite well. Have there been challenges that we've needed to work out? Absolutely, but that was to be expected. I would note a couple of weeks ago we had a leadership retreat at Woodlawn Manor. We had a professional facilitator lead a conversation focused on implementing our strategic plan and navigating organizational change. It was a good discussion that demonstrated the positive impacts of the changes we've made. It highlighted a few challenges that we still need to work through. Our facilitator praised our strategic plan as one of the finest he's seen in more than a decade of doing work, helping guide strategy efforts for businesses and organizations. He also noted that most organizations that go through a reorg don't begin to settle into their new structure and new routines or reap the full benefits of that reorg for 6 to 12 months. So we're being patient in some ways with what we're doing. We believe that we are well positioned to grow into the new structure over the coming months and continue to see more benefits. Now, informal feedback that we've gotten from staff has been positive, with appreciation for our focus on supporting their efforts to pursue their passion and leverage their expertise. Earlier today, we were with the board on a tour of the Clarksburg Gateway Plan area, and a staff member who I hadn't seen in a while came up to me specifically to tell me how happy he is with the reorg. During the board's August recess, we rearranged staff workspaces to locate division staff together. That was a little disruptive, as most staff had to pack up all their stuff and then unpack and reestablish their new space in their new space. But people are settling in and establishing new office roles and relationships. The divisions have conducted a number of team building and trust building activities to strengthen relationships and facilitate interactions. And I mentioned the retreat that we held for senior leadership. The Environment and Climate Division also held a retreat to help establish a renewed focus on environmental efforts within the context of our department mission. Our master plan supervisors across divisions are also organizing a retreat to ensure consistency in efforts and collaboration across divisions, recognizing that efforts need to be coordinated at all levels, not just at the chief level. And a few other things to highlight is that we've taken the 149 actions in our strategic plan, and we've identified which of our new divisions will lead and which will support the implementation of each of those actions. We then assigned a member of department leadership to each action to monitor and track our progress on that action. We've seen more consistency across all disciplines, and I think this will increasingly become apparent to folks outside the department as projects and development applications move forward. At the Development Review Committee retreat last week, I had a representative from a county agency express appreciation that our reorg allows them to maintain a single primary point of contact with a supervisor in one of our functional divisions, as opposed to having to coordinate with multiple staff across multiple geographic teams with each development application. In all, this has forced us to take a good look at our various processes to see how they need to be updated. And based on discussions with staff and other feedback we've received, we've made some modifications to a few processes and introduced new tools and apps that ensure collaboration and make things more efficient. Not just for ourselves, but for external stakeholders as well. So, for instance, we are about to launch a pre-application portal to help applicants schedule times to meet with appropriate staff across different divisions. And then finally, I wanted to show you this photo. It's a reminder of our awesome staff and how they are the most important asset that we have at the department. This is from our 2025 summer picnic at Black Hill Regional Park in June. And I will note that the reorg has helped make some of our staffing needs more evident. We can see where we have gaps in our expertise and in roles that we need to fill. And this will be reflected in the budget request that we are preparing for FY27. As you know, we are still down 28 positions from where we were in 2009. And while we can emphasize efficiency in our efforts, we know that our workload has become bigger, deeper, and broader. Our staff continues to feel overworked, but we are doing everything we can to make sure they don't feel underappreciated. I want to thank our staff once again for coming along with me, with Robert, and with Bridget, and the rest of our department leadership on our strategic planning journey, including our effort to better align our structure with Thrive, our strategic priorities, and the roles that we play in the county. Happy to take any questions you might have.
Great. Well, thank you so much for walking through this. I think it's much clearer now, hopefully, to folks than it had been previously, which was the whole purpose of this exercise. It's glad to hear that there's some positive early returns on this. I know there's always growing pains. My one major question is the transition process for stakeholders. What does the handoff look like if your point of contact for the activities that you are doing or what you're accustomed to has changed? How is that working? How are you handling that, and how is that going?
Sure. So I'll answer from two different perspectives, and I'll see if Robert wants to add anything to this. But for our master plan efforts, for instance, the person who was leading, I'll give as an example, our Eastern Silver Spring Communities Plan had been with our Down County team, Lauren Stam. She is now with our East County Planning Division. So she stayed with that plan. So the community continues to work through her on all of those efforts. When it came to development applications that maybe it may no longer be in the same area that, or with the person who was leading it might be in a different area team now, we had them finish out their work on those applications and bring them to the board, despite the fact that they technically worked in a different division now. So we wanted to continue to have some consistency.
Thank you. Just to add to what Jason said, some of the stakeholders that we deal with are regional service directors, and we've been meeting with them to make sure that the word gets out through them that the boundaries have changed in some cases and some of the players have changed. But also having both of our chiefs and their departments and their divisions meet collectively with different groups, even when it comes to applications, and meeting with community groups as well. We have, representation from both teams, and in some cases, I'll use Silver Spring as an example. We have kind of a cross-pollination of staff within those teams now. Some are in the traditional mid-county team, some are in the down-county team, and we've made sure that those staff have been part of those groups and continue to be part of those groups. And where we have applications and where we have initiatives going on in specific areas, we make sure that we have staff that's familiar with both with those initiatives, whether it's their team or not participating. And from the development side and from the agencies side, we've been meeting with the agencies and with the development groups to make sure that they know who the points of contact are. Doing maybe not as an intense overview of the reorg and the strategic plan as we are sharing with you today, but sharing with them the priorities, the divisions, the groups, the contacts, and making sure that they're just as involved and embedded with that stakeholder group as possible.
One of the additional thing I will add is that I provided each of you with a contact sheet there of our leadership in the department, and this was actually came at a request from Vice President Jawando a couple months back, and I was saying we were still in the process of getting it all sorted out, and so that is an up-to-the-minute contact list for you all.
Great, thank you. Let me open it up to colleagues. Vice President Jawando.
Thank you. I was going to acknowledge that. It'll go on my desk or wall, or maybe I can laminate it, but under my pillow or something. But no. But thank you very much. This is helpful. Appreciate the in-depth analysis and just giving us the process of how you did the reorg and why and all that. And I'm a big believer that like people who come in leadership should be able to organize their departments the way they see fit to get the mission done. So within reason, obviously, and so that's helpful. The one main kind of set of questions I have is around the switch of eliminating the mid-county region. I just want you to talk about that a little more. And obviously it was just last week, the way the timing works out. We just approved the mid-county regional services director into the role, and so obviously county government is organized in a different way than you are, and so people have been shifted around, and you talked about that. Was there conversation? You mentioned that there's some conversations with the RSCs, but was there pre-conversation? I want to just back it up a little bit about we're thinking about doing this for XYZ reasons. Obviously from my perspective, I want us to be as aligned as possible in delivery and nomenclature around county services and how people are thinking about the county. So I just wanted you to share a little bit more about the why of that, and were there kind of pre-conversations and how you see it's going to functionally change the work in any way?
Sure. I guess I'll begin by just pulling back up the old map here. And what doesn't work so well with this map specifically is that it doesn't show Rockville and Gaithersburg. So one of the points we made when we did the new one is we put them on there.
Or not covered by your...
Right. Yeah, we don't do planning for those.
Make up a big part of Mid-County.
They did make up a big part of, and if you could imagine superimposing those on this map here, you would see that Mid-County was a very disjointed area because of the separation caused by that. And so in some ways, with our new focus here, you can see we kind of used those two municipalities as a divider between East, West, and Up County. And so when we made when we were thinking through whether we include certain areas in one region or another region, because there were some that could have gone either way. We tried to keep existing master plan boundaries intact. The one exception to that, and it could be, there might have been a second one, but the one I could think of off the top of my head right now was the Great Seneca Plan area, which I know we just recently approved that. But you'll recall that one was like, it had a whole bunch of, like 8 different areas that weren't connected. And so in some ways, they were all very unique neighborhoods that had unique qualities and concerns. And so it actually lent itself well going around different parts of Gaithersburg to fit into our different area teams. And so I think that is all either in Up County or in West County.
So, so to the last comment, that they're actually split. And the area that's in the biohealth, kind of more predominant biohealth industry is in West County, because that team was working more on the biohealth industry, and a lot of the work involved with that type of with those types of applications. The area that went to Up County was more residential in nature, so and it had more of a suburban context to it, so it seemed to be a little bit more appropriate to go with the Up County team. To your earlier question about the RSCs, I don't believe we had specific conversations with all the RSCs. We did have some conversations about the reorganization and what that might do to help benefit kind of what their functions were. And more so with East County and Giroux, I know we had conversations, and they would invite us to a lot of the conversations that they were having with community members. We did try to align those RSCs with our boundaries, and as Jason said, the master plans also played a role in that, to make sure that we weren't splitting up master plan boundaries when we did the reorganization. And the life science one was the only one that we did split.
I appreciate that. That's helpful. And you know, even under the old map, you had people who were the RSCs that were in multiple things that weren't their thing. So that was unless you were going to create 4 or 5. Yeah, 5. Unless you were going to create more, which, you know, I understand you weren't as much as maybe you might want to, but I think this makes sense, and that's helpful background. And as you know, it'll be growing pains with anything. You just got to make sure, as you're doing, connecting the dots and making sure people. But I appreciate the comment around keeping master plans relatively in the same area. Thank you. That was my question.
Great. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
I have no problem with anything that you just mentioned. I think it's great. The only thing, and this has nothing to do with you, but as we move forward in this county, we're going to have a new set of faces in county government in a year, 9 months, a year and a half from now. I mean, we have all these different, you guys are one set, but we also have different names and numbers for the police district, for example. I have 3 different police districts within my council district. Then we have all these different regional directors, and some of them don't make any sense. So at some point, as a county, I think we need to have a serious conversation of how we can update all these different boundaries within our county that will really make more sense for the community at the end of the day. So yeah. But that's a future conversation that it's in my mind. As a district council member, it's so confusing between you, the police, and the regional services offices, plus the urban districts. It's a mess. But I'm not talking to anybody in particular here. I'm just saying. Thank you.
Well, on that happy note, I'll just, the most important thing here is the delivery of service, and to make sure that the staff feels that they are put in the best position to be successful, to be effective, to do their jobs. To your point, we have a really talented, extremely hardworking staff, and hopefully that this is a structure that is responsive to them, allows them to be as strong as the sum of their talent. I think at times we're not as good as the sum of the people that we have working in county government and in county agencies, and hopefully this puts us in more of a position to do that. And then, of course, the ultimate goal is to make sure that we're being responsive to the public. So appreciate that ongoing effort. I know that's the manner in which you are judging this change. Is it working for the staff? Is it working for the public? Is it making us a better version of ourselves to deliver the services that we are entrusted to provide? And appreciate the work that you're undertaking. Keep us posted. Let us know what you need and any changes and adjustments that are necessary as you navigate through this. But it seems like at least at the early stages of this, things appear to be headed in a positive direction. So appreciate that. Great. All right, we're going to move on to the third item, which is a briefing by the Planning Department on the pipeline of approved development. And there's a lot of editorial comment here, but I will hold my editorial comments and just dig right into the briefing. So we're going to hold off on comments among all of us, lest we head down the road before we get the facts. So let's hear from the Planning Department.
Yeah, so let me just, while staff is coming up, I just wanted to say, Chair Friedson and committee members, that we're happy to be here to present staff's analysis of and findings from the development pipeline. Staff has done a great job in digging into and analyzing the data. They presented their findings to the board last Thursday, and the board provided some comments for follow-up that they'll talk to you about today. We're interested in your comments and your suggestions to their presentation today. So thank you for allowing us to be here. Thank you.
Great. Perfect amount of time. It seems that the staff is now ready to present. So with that, without any fanfare, let's dig into it.
Good afternoon, Lisa Gavoni, Planning Supervisor with Montgomery Planning, for the record. So over the summer, the new Design, Placemaking, and Policy Division and our Research and Strategic Projects Division conducted a pipeline analysis to better understand the pipeline and related obstacles to housing production. The project aims to gain a deeper understanding of what hinders specific approved projects from becoming a reality and to inform policymaking to address the most pressing housing needs. Clearly understanding what's delaying these developments is critical to developing a more realistic view of what the pipeline data truly indicates, and how the development cycle can be accelerated between the Planning Board's initial approval of a development application and the project's final delivery. The construction of residential units in the pipeline is a really important part of our strategy to increase housing supply. We talked a lot about this in the local housing targets project, that the pipeline is one of the most realistic ways that we can help meet our housing goals this decade. But the opportunity really does truly vary by project stage. While all projects in the pipeline are entitled, only a portion of those projects are really permit ready and ready to have shovels in the ground. At the same time, advancing projects in the pipeline will not alleviate, I should have been on this slide, sorry. At the same time, advancing projects in the pipeline will not alone alleviate the county's housing crisis. And the county cannot solely rely on the pipeline to meet its housing goals. Many of these units are never going to be built, and the county must continue its more of everything approach that the council has really adopted with the adoption of Thrive Montgomery 2050. Clarity around messaging for the pipeline is also really important, and explaining the utility and to the extent to which we can rely on the pipeline for new housing is equally important. We keep saying this is as much as a communications project as it is anything else, and we have really, as you'll see when we get further into this presentation, and Mr. Sartori alluded to, developed a dashboard that really illustrates how we can share the utility of that pipeline. So the briefing today represents the initial phase of the analysis, which relied on outreach to developers, internal conversations, and high-level data review to better understand the pipeline as a tool to identify those barriers for the barriers for projects advancing. Continued analysis is ongoing with this project, and will provide a deeper dive into the dynamic nature of the pipeline, recognizing that the top line count of approved projects is only part of the story. So just very quickly, I want to acknowledge the team that worked on this project. This was really a joint effort between two divisions, and we really spent all summer working on this with the survey, with the interviews, with the data analysis. Not everyone has a seat at the table, but everyone really did put a lot of effort into this project, and I want to thank all of them. So next I'm going to turn it over to Kayla to talk about the pipeline.
Kayla Prendergast, planner with the Planning Department, for the record. And thanks, Lisa, for that introduction. So I'm just going to quickly ground us in an understanding of what the pipeline is today, how we understand it today, which is an internal database of projects in the county that have received regulatory approval but have not yet been built. At its inception, the pipeline was created as a tracking tool to provide long-range planners with a high-level understanding of potential development activity across various parts of the county. The pipeline does not provide real-time updates on project activity that would signal conversion to built units, as many projects stall or change after receiving approval, and some may never break ground. The pipeline, when we began this project in February, consisted of 278 development projects, accounting for just under 30,000 unbuilt housing units, which includes both fully unbuilt projects and partially unbuilt ones. Next slide. So I'm also going to present a little bit about the current process we use for tracking on the pipeline. The current process for creating the pipeline database starts when a preliminary plan is approved by the Planning Board, since that's the first binding approval for density and subdivision. Once approved, a project is added to the pipeline with data on unit counts, commercial gross floor area, expiration dates, approval dates, as well as tracking of unbuilt units. The pipeline is updated 3 times a year with new approvals added, expired approvals removed, and unbuilt unit counts updated if necessary. Planning staff works with our forest conservation inspectors to track unbuilt units, with the inspectors reporting out on progress after doing their inspections. Projects are removed from the pipeline when they are completed or when their APF or plan validity expires, though these are often extended. Forest conservation inspectors also signal when a project is completed through their inspections. Alternatively, when an amendment is approved, the pipeline entry is updated to reflect the revised approvals, dates, unit counts, and square footage if it's a commercial project. Next. So the Planning Department initiated this analysis to identify issues holding up housing development and improve data collection and tracking around the pipeline in order to better inform policy decisions related to housing production. The analysis looks not just at what the number of approved units is, but how they progress through the pipeline, what gets built, what stalls, and why. The analysis focused on projects with more than 10 unbuilt units, which included 88 projects and accounted for over 99% of units on the pipeline. Again, noting that since we started this project in January, these 88 projects are reflective of that pipeline in January with more than 10 unbuilt units. And so as Lisa alluded to, this analysis looked beyond the standard data to try to get a fuller picture of the pipeline. We surveyed developers and conducted interviews to understand barriers and decision-making. We consulted our internal regulatory planners and staff who collect and maintain the pipeline data to identify gaps and lags in the process in terms of what the public sees. We also reviewed how 11 peer jurisdictions track and report similar information, and together these perspectives informed how we framed the analysis and shaped some early improvements to the pipeline dashboard that we're going to preview for you today, particularly a new distinction between those that are fully entitled and those that have all the approvals necessary to move on to the permitting phase. So now I'll pass it to Alex to get into some of the specifics on the results.
Thank you, Kayla. Alex Pemberton, real estate planner with Montgomery Planning. So I'll walk us through what we learned from the developer survey and follow-up interviews. We received responses from developers representing over half the projects in that 88 project sample. While the majority indicated that their projects are advancing, more than 2/3, only about 1/3 are like full speed ahead, and that includes projects that are currently under construction. So this signals a fairly cautious development climate. Many projects are technically active but are progressing more slowly. The most frequently cited barriers via the survey were financial feasibility, rising construction costs, and local policy constraints, particularly rent stabilization. Notably, very few respondents are actively pursuing amendments to their entitlements, which suggests that the challenge lies less in obsolete design, for instance, and more in the broader feasibility environment. So these findings underscore the importance of distinguishing between projects that are or that have simply begun the approval process and those with a realistic path to delivery. We then conducted follow-up interviews with 14 of the projects that submitted survey responses, and this really helped us get additional context on what's slowing down projects and what's stalling projects. So developers emphasize that first, approved unit counts often exceed what can realistically be built once they get into the design and site planning in a more detailed way. So while we continue to try to work to understand what percentage of approved units this can be expected to represent, it's important to remember that approvals are always the upper limit. You can always build less, but you can never build more than what you're approved. So the main takeaway from the interviews is that this issue is not monocausal. There's no one silver bullet. Projects are stalling due to a variety of impediments, often due to multiple overlapping impediments, market, policy, and project specific. Market conditions were described as particularly difficult. Interest rates, valuations, and construction costs have created financing gaps, and even developers with active projects expressed doubt that the project would be financially feasible if they started today. Those with multi-phase projects additionally expressed uncertainty about their ability to proceed with future phases. Interviewees also noted that Montgomery County's slower job growth compared to neighboring jurisdictions is affecting demand and investor confidence. So these insights reinforce the need to interpret pipeline data with some caution and as well consider the broader development context. In terms of the policy and project level impediments, rent stabilization emerged as the most frequently cited policy barrier, the most frequently cited barrier altogether. Developers expressed concern about its impact on financing, particularly the lack of a permanent date-certain exemption for new construction, as well as the imposition of vacancy control. Opinions among interviewees were mixed about whether the rent stabilization policy directly impacts operations, but there was a broad consensus that it has had a chilling effect in the capital markets. So beyond the direct financial implications, the project has created a perception of political risk, which developers say is discouraging investment. Impact and permit fees were also mentioned, although concerns focused more on timing and procedural clarity than on fee levels, which developers generally see as a cost of doing business. And then on the process side, so unique to individual projects, developers described Montgomery County's approval timelines as the longest in the region. Interviewees consistently said that while the process is very clear, professional, predictable, it's just simply very long. It often takes 12 to 18 months to get through sketch or preliminary plans and site plans. And so because projects often take 5 or more years from their initial approval until the end of construction, even successful ones will overlap with others that are still in progress. So it's important to remember, historically we've built about 2,500 housing units per year, and so if those are taking 5 years, there's going to be an overlap of potentially tens of thousands of units in the pipeline at any given time. So anyway, collectively, these barriers suggest that unlocking the pipeline will require coordinated efforts across policy, process, as well as infrastructure. And with that, I'll kick it over to Bhavna.
For the record, Bhavna Sivasubramanian, planner with Montgomery Planning. So as was mentioned at the beginning, we also looked at how peer jurisdictions manage, track, and communicate about their development pipelines to help inform how we talk about our pipeline both internally and present it to the public. So this jurisdiction analysis focused on 3 major research areas: terminology, data and tracking, and communications and visualization. So this included how other jurisdictions define their pipeline, how they collect the data, how frequently they update the data, and how that information is shared with the public. We studied 11 unique jurisdictions, which included 6 of our neighboring cities and counties, 3 jurisdictions in the western United States, and 2 areas in Canada. We primarily looked at each jurisdiction's websites and also had follow-up meetings with 3 of them to learn more about their data management systems and any lessons they have learned during their tracking process. So through this exercise, we found that Montgomery County is not unique in having approved but unbuilt units in its pipeline. While there are slight variations in how jurisdictions calculate their pipeline, this table here presents a best guess comparison of units in the pipeline across these jurisdictions using a similar definition that we use. As seen by the data, other jurisdictions have a comparable and oftentimes larger number of approved but unbuilt units in their pipeline. And while jurisdictions vary in size and population, the third column here shows the unbuilt units per 100 residents across these jurisdictions. So while Montgomery County has 3.16 unbuilt units per 100 residents, this is compared with 7.63 units per 100 residents in Frederick and 6.21 units in Arlington County. So now getting into some of the other results of this analysis, in terms of defining the pipeline, we saw that across peer jurisdictions, there is no standardized terminology or definition of what a pipeline consists of. While some jurisdictions like Prince George's County and the city of Frederick use the term development pipeline, Washington, D.C. and Arlington County use more of a development tracker or development reports. We in Montgomery County remove projects from the pipeline once they are fully built, but some other databases follow a project through its entire life cycle, from initial approvals through completion, indicating different project statuses as the development progresses. We found that most jurisdictions' development databases included both residential and non-residential projects, but the trackers that only have residential information are largely focused on affordable housing, and those are mostly managed by the housing departments of these jurisdictions. In terms of gathering the data, jurisdiction websites do not always provide clear information on how their data collection was conducted, but we also had conversations with planners in San Francisco and Arlington County, and they highlighted the use of permit data as their primary source, though they did also cite the need to heavily clean and quality check this permit data before publishing. Prince George's County, on the other hand, uses online data systems such as aerial imagery and SStat to track their build-outs. There was also variation in how often jurisdictions update and publish their data, mostly ranging from quarterly to every 6 months to annually. In terms of communicating and visualizing this data, most jurisdictions have an interactive dashboard to communicate information about their development activity to the public, really allowing residents, developers, policymakers to engage directly with the data themselves. And the raw data used in this dashboard was often available to download from the website itself. In addition to dashboards, some jurisdictions publish regular reports ranging from one-page infographic summaries to detailed annual reports. For example, in Arlington County, they produce annual highlights, quarterly reports, and development summaries of major corridors that present the same data to different audiences. So I'll now pass it back to Kayla to talk through some of our other dashboard updates.
Thanks, Bhavna. So before we get into some of the reimagining, I'm just going to go over a few key terms and processes. So the key terms here present the key stages of a project, which ultimately provide indicators of where a project is in the development process, as well as documenting a level of seriousness about moving forward. The farther along they are in the process, the more likely it is that they will keep moving forward. The first stage in this process, which is what the pipeline currently uses as its tracker, is a preliminary plan, which, like I said, focuses on subdivision or how land will be divided into lots, blocks, and roads, and whether public facilities and environmental requirements can support the proposed development. Excuse me. A site plan comes later and is about design and gets into some more details, how the site will actually be built, including building placement, parking, landscaping, open space, et cetera, ensuring that it meets zoning and master plan guidelines. Not all projects require both. Some come with pre-established subdivisions and therefore only require a site plan. To that point, there are also projects known as administrative subdivisions, which are typically small scale and only require a minor division or a consolidation of existing land or lots, involving minimal or no changes to infrastructure like roads or easements. They are similar to preliminary plans, except they're not acted upon by the board, but rather approved or denied administratively by the planning director. So for those projects that are acted upon by the board, this slide gives a really big picture view of how a project moves from concept to construction. And it's important to kind of distinguish between two major phases. The first being planning and entitlement phase, which is where the planning board grants approvals that establish what can be built. It includes steps like a sketch plan, if required, a preliminary plan for subdivision, and site plan for detailed design. As mentioned already, these approvals confirm compliance with the master plan, zoning, and adequacy of public facilities. After entitlements, the project moves within county processes to permitting, which is managed by DPS. This is where building permits and related approvals like mechanical, electrical, fire, right-of-way are issued so construction can begin. It's also important to understand in the little green box that developers often need to secure financing, complete detailed engineering and construction documents, and do coordination with multiple agencies before the permitting process can even begin. This gap is part of the reason why an approved project in our pipeline doesn't always mean immediate housing delivery or even guaranteed building permits. So based on all the information that we've shared with you and all of our sort of internal discussions and analysis, as well as the particularities of the development process, staff is proposing that the pipeline be presented in 2 buckets in order to better reflect stage of development and proximity to construction or build out. I want to flag here that we received some input from the planning board on these this past Thursday, where they shared thoughts on how to make sure they're as clear as possible. So understand that the terminology here is still under consideration, but the content of each bucket will largely remain the same. So that said, the first bucket we're proposing is the overall entitlement pipeline, which essentially includes projects that have received initial approval from the planning board. This consists of all projects with established adequate public facility requirements from any of their planning approvals. These entitlements allow projects to move forward when the developer chooses, but additional approvals such as site plans are often required. This more or less includes projects that have received their preliminary plan approval. And then the second bucket of permit-ready projects is a subset of the larger overall entitlement pipeline and includes those projects that have all of their necessary approvals from the planning board and for which the next step in terms of county processes is permitting. So for phase projects, this includes only the approved phases that have site plan approvals. This subset also includes cases where the parcel alignment is already established and no preliminary plan was necessary, known as a standalone site plan. And it also consists of approved quantities for administrative subdivisions and other projects that do not require a site plan. Next slide. Okay. So this slide shows what these 2 buckets look like in terms of unbuilt units. Our initial estimates suggest that while there are roughly 29,500 unbuilt units across 212 projects in the overall entitlement pipeline, only about 14,700 of these across 110 projects are currently permit ready. So these figures are early and have not undergone the full quality control typically applied to published data, and the updated dashboard incorporating these refinements is still internal, but once finalized will provide a more nuanced, transparent view of project progress through the pipeline. So this slide, again, just provides a little bit more nuance to the previous slide, looking at the number of projects by years since approval, comparing when projects were originally approved with their most recent approval. So on the most recent side, the bars in red, 77% of the projects were updated in the last 4 years. And by contrast, when we look at original approvals in blue, there's a more even spread. We can also see that there were 14 projects that were originally approved over 20 years ago that still remain on the pipeline, which just means that they have undergone amendments and are in the red categories farther up in terms of years since most recent approval. You'll notice that there is nothing in the 15 to 19 bucket. That isn't, a data error. It just means that all projects that were originally approved between that time frame either expired or were constructed. So the takeaway is that an old original approval doesn't necessarily mean a stale project. Many are kept current through amendments, but it's important to understand that recency of approval is not the same as construction readiness. The current pipeline is tracked based on preliminary plan, and as we saw in the earlier graphic, there are quite a few additional phases that need to happen before shovels are in the ground. So now I'll pass it over to Gabe, who's going to give us a preview of the new dashboard that we're working on.
For the record, Gabriel Patterson King, GIS analyst with Montgomery County Planning. Parallel to the goal of enhancing the data, we created a new web mapping application to make it easier to make sense of the pipeline. Our old application focuses on the individual characteristics of each project, but doesn't try to summarize or contextualize the data. The new application puts the focus on summary numbers as well as visual elements to illustrate key aspects of the data, as we will see. As you can see, the old application is focused on the project level. It does not attempt to summarize on any metric. It aims to clearly show locations and details of each individual project. To the right, we have Strathmore Square with a pop-up that has a substantial list of information from its approved preliminary plan. The new application aims to clearly visualize key pieces of information about the projects. The focus is now on the dataset as a whole and its summary statistics. Looking at Strathmore Square again on the right, the new goal is graphically displaying the relative size and age of the project, as well as simplifying the pop-up to focus on the headline data numbers. I want to point out a few of the components of the dashboard. It has two modes, a mode for each of the pipeline categories previously mentioned. All data elements are color-coded by age based off the project's planning board approval date. The table on the left includes links to DIIC where the project's approval info and plan documents can easily be found. Data elements are tied to the view of the map and change as you pan and zoom around the map for easy navigation. And a few data insights from the dashboard. You can easily see the unbuilt totals, around 15,000 unbuilt units and 6.5 million square feet of unbuilt commercial space using the new categorization. Like the other data elements, these update based off of the map view. Looking at the chart by year in the bottom right, you can see that most unbuilt units are from projects with more recent preliminary plan approvals, with almost none from before 2006. That said, I just want to point out one project that might have stood out as an outlier in the chart. The oldest project on the list of tentatively called permit-ready projects, Linthicum West, is actually moving forward. It was recently platted and site grading is visible in recent aerial imagery. Linthicum West shows how challenging it can be to make sense of the pipeline data. Old projects might be stalled, but as long as they are still valid, they may move forward as well. And it also illustrates how the new categorization can help emphasize projects that are likelier to be built.
So for the final part of the presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about policy concepts. The policy concepts discussed today aim to address the compounding impediments that we discussed earlier and that are hindering housing production in the county. There's not one reason why projects aren't moving forward in the county, as Mr. Pemberton stated, and some projects may potentially require multiple interventions to be able to make sure that the project is feasible. The policy concepts today represent, a first attempt at responding to those themes, but we're also interested in hearing the feedback from the committee on these policy concepts, and we'll be back in about a month to have more fully baked policy concepts. We did receive some feedback from the planning board last Thursday, which is really helpful and helped us refine some of the policy concepts. So the first bucket of policy concepts is to clearly communicate the purpose of the pipeline and improve ways to document and visualize the projects. First, examining the pipeline on a recurring basis. We note that this was a labor-intensive project, but it was one that was really fruitful and received a lot of great insight from the development community, and especially from those interviews in that survey. Replicating this effort on a recurring basis can help with data maintenance, provide valuable market and policy insights, and ultimately help with increasing housing production. One thing I'll say is, we ended and started every interview with how can we help you move this project forward, and being able to gain those insights was really helpful for our own internal purposes. The second is to streamline the process of obtaining and updating the pipeline data. Montgomery County currently relies on field observation for construction updates, but other methods could be considered. This could include more coordination with the Department of Permitting Services for permit data, check-ins with the regulatory staff, and aerial imagery to verify build-outs. The third is to publish findings more frequently in user-friendly formats. This could include creating one-pagers and an interactive dashboard on the pipeline, like was shown today, or add additional information to the quarterly economic indicators about the pipeline. Relatedly, there could be exploration on providing data on the dashboard on a more real-time basis. This will help frame the utility of the pipeline while also sharing relevant information about the pipeline with the public. And finally, providing a more accurate and fuller picture of a project's life cycle. There should be a consideration for tracking a more nuanced project status, including, if it's under construction. Such an approach would provide a more realistic view of which projects will actually be built. The first one is for comprehensively streamlining all steps of the regulatory process from the planning board's initial approval to the final use and occupancy permit. The first one is to continue to streamline the regulatory process. We took this opportunity to really look inward at our own processes and hear feedback from the development community. And respondents noted the generally long and complex regulatory process as a deterrent to new development, which adds cost and time to a project and can contribute to a project's infeasibility. While Montgomery Planning has worked at the state and county local to make the regulatory processes more efficient and streamlined lately, we can continue looking at our own processes to see if there's any more work that we can do to help the projects move faster through the cycle. Approved shorter validity periods. A validity period is a set time frame which an approved project plan must be finalized by recording plats or obtaining permits. This time varies, but it's often several years. There could be consideration for approving preliminary and site plans with shorter validity periods to motivate new projects to build more quickly. Such an approach could be coupled with meaningful zoning and financial incentives that reward rapid construction and delivery. Expedited review. The council has approved quite a few expedited reviews in recent years, and we're starting to see more projects take advantage of those. There may want to be consideration for expanding or broadening some of those expedited reviews. For example, the mixed income housing communities, we can include 4% light-tech projects or reduce the size requirement from 150,000 square feet, because a lot of light-tech projects are smaller projects. The fourth one is to evaluate the causes of permitting delays. Some respondents noted that permitting delays are quite common. The Department of Permitting Services should continue to evaluate the causes of delays and find ways to accelerate the permitting process. And finally, create a development approval specialist, creating a planning staff position with a primary job function to help track the projects in the pipeline and help get them unstuck, and work with developers and implementations agencies to ensure they advance to construction in a timely manner. The next bucket of policy concepts is strategically help close financing gaps for large-scale projects that would deliver housing from the pipeline where it's most needed in the county. The comparatively high impact taxes were noted in several interviews as a deterrent to development in the county. We do want to note that the County Council is currently convening an infrastructure funding work group, which I'm a member on, so any consideration there should be done in coordination with the infrastructure funding work group. But that we could look at efforts to either reduce or remove impact taxes for another system. The second one is broader use of financial incentives. In recent years, the council has approved the use of financial incentives like the payment in lieu of taxes, and interviews noted that they are helpful in getting projects moving. There may be broader use of these financial incentives, like pilots or tax increment financing. These could be used in the county for certain large multi-phase projects with huge infrastructure needs to help provide financial incentives that enable initial phases to pencil. The next policy concept bucket is to recognize broader market conditions and incentivize projects that create long-term jobs in addition to housing. That first broad policy concept is to continue to pursue programs that programs that spur job growth. While there is noted concern about the federal employment landscape, many interviews noted and expressed concerns about Montgomery County's weak job growth, especially compared to Northern Virginia. The county and the council have, including the Jobs Initiative and the Econ Committee, have pursued a lot of programs that help spur job growth, but that should but we're considering broader zoning policies like allowing additional and smaller projects that include high-paying job creating uses could be incentivized through density bonuses, expedited reviews, and reduced payments similar to the signature business headquarters review process. And of course, this talking about rent stabilization, that came up as one of the biggest deterrents as a major obstacle in the county right now. While many pipeline projects predate the rent stabilization law, the county might want to consider specific tweaks to the policy that could help make it sure that more development is happening in the county. For example, right now there's a 23-year new exemption for new development, but a date certain, like setting it to the year 2000, would help ensure that rent stabilization never catches up to new construction. And finally, next steps. So over the next month, we're going to work on refining these policy concepts and come up with specific recommendations. We're also going to do more quantitative analysis based on the updated pipeline information that we found. We'll be back to the planning board on October 16th, and then we'll be back to the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee with a more fully baked policy recommendations and more analysis on October 27th. And that's it.
Well, appreciate it. This was a really robust report and conversation. It really gives us a lot to think about. I will say it's confirming and affirming for me and a lot of what we talk about of what the pipeline is and what it isn't and how it's used. I think if used appropriately, like it has been here, we can really get a window into what is preventing housing production from happening, which is what we desperately need and what we want. And we can have a roadmap for public conversations of what we're willing to do. I am particularly reassured, without relitigating some policy dynamics, which I won't do here at this venue. I think they speak for themselves. But originally, when I had proposed some of the expedited review processes, there was quite a bit of concern and quite a bit of resistance from planning and from the executive regulatory departments as well. And I appreciate the fact that the planning department has now embraced it as a way for us to move forward, that we need to step up our game. We need to get aggressive in what we're willing to do in order to incentivize what we know we need and what we want to happen from a policy standpoint. So I appreciate that, because that is a change from where things were just a few years ago, when there was a bit of concern and resistance to changing the way we do business. And I think there's a reflection here and now that we have to change the way that we do business, and we need to be listening to the folks who are impacted and understand why things aren't happening that we want, and make the necessary adjustments and changes to reflect what we need. So I just really appreciate this work. I think this is a really good starting point. I look forward to us coming back on the 27th. We can have a more robust conversation on some of what will be more fleshed out ideas and thoughts here. And I think just moving forward with clarity and to be able to publicly share what the pipeline is and what it isn't and what's in it, and as much information as possible related to it, I think it's going to be a huge step in a positive direction. So I really appreciate that. Councilmember Fanny Gonzalez.
Very briefly, thank you so much for your work. It was truly needed. I would say only two things. One, I really think it's a mistake to call this whole thing a pipeline. When you say pipeline, people are thinking it's approved, it's going to happen someday. It's not reality. Not because a project gets approved from the planning board, and I used to be a planning board member, means that it's going to happen. I think we should call it something different, a tracker, developer tracker, where you can say it was approved this day and, show it, but not use the word pipeline. I think so that's one. And two, as you, and Lisa, you mentioned the work group that we have right now. I'm glad you did, because I was going to mention it. I think we need to keep an eye on that and connect it with your work on this, and also especially on the impact access question. But also, I think it's a great thing that, we're moving forward. Just the pilot that we just approved, being very strategic about places where we want to see more development and understanding what can we do as a county to incentivize and create and push for more, not just housing, but construction projects that will bring more jobs, more manufacturers into the county. It's a great thing. And I think we need to see it that way too. Not just to highlight the things that we have challenges, because, we do have lots of challenges in Montgomery County, but also across the Washington, D.C. region and the nation. Just the fact that we're right next to Washington, D.C., we have a whole lot of people who lost their jobs with the Fed Department. We have a whole lot of people who work in construction who are immigrants, are not able to work anymore. So there's a lot at stake that impact this county in specific that has nothing to do with rent stabilization, but I'm not going to talk about it. I promised myself that I will not talk about it, but that's all I'm going to say. So those are my general comments, and I look forward to continue discussing this. That's it.
Vice President Chawanda.
Yes, thank you for your work on this. As you know, I've been involved in this conversation. I had been working on legislation to help move this along, and I paused that when I talked to you all about doing this project, which I appreciate that you spent all summer doing. It's nothing like a good summer project. And I'm excited to engage with the findings and just dig in and ask some questions. And I am going to talk about rent stabilization. I'll get there, but I mean, you put it up in the report. It's like front page, front center. We got to talk about it. I mean, so it's not I don't think it's off topic here, but I'm going to start at the beginning. So I have a ton of stuff to ask. So we got time. So I'm going to just start. And if colleagues want to jump in, but I'll start at the beginning here. So here we go. All right. This was back in February when I was talking about this legislation. You guys did the work, and I think it is a good use of time. So thank you to the chair and Director Sartori and to everybody. The developer survey itself, have we seen that? I'd like to see that.
When we come back, we can add it as an appendix to
I think it's
report.
So the tool that was used. So in lieu of that, how long was it? Was it multiple choice? What was the structure of the survey?
It was mixed. There was.
I knew I'd get someone else to come up.
I'll let Mr. Pemberton answer because he did design the survey.
Alex Pemberton, for the record. So it was conducted via SurveyMonkey, which is a survey.
I'm familiar with that.
Survey platform.
Filled out a few of those.
Easy platform to use and break down the data. So there was a series of questions. First, really to gather where is the project? Like, is it advancing? Is it not? What stage of approvals are you in? So there was that technical aspect. And then there was the, once we filtered through that labyrinth, there was only about 3 or 4 questions in terms of, if you're not advancing, what's holding you up? Some of those were multiple choice. We left comment boxes on those for a little bit more clarity. And then I think I want to note that where we really, I think, gained insight was the survey was really used to sort of get broad understanding of what percentage of projects are moving forward, what percentage of them see this issue as an impediment generally. Where we really gained those insights were in the interviews in terms of what is it that is specific to certain policy conditions or certain market conditions that are delaying or challenging project feasibility.
So you sent it out to the survey out to 88. Mm-hmm. You got a response of
47.
47. All right, and obviously 88 of. I had it written down somewhere of the 278 projects that are in the pipeline.
And that 88 represented 99% of the units in the pipeline. So a lot of the remaining are
small.
1 or 2 units.
Very small.
A lot of 2-lot subdivisions at the bottom of the pipeline, so we focus where we could be the most.
Get the most meat.
Yeah.
All right, so the 88 projects represented 99% of the units. Got it. So most of the multifamily. Okay, got it. And then of that, you heard from about you said 48.
47. Yeah.
47. So little more than half, right? Okay. And then, so you said the structure was. So I'm assuming SurveyMonkey then. So a lot of them were multiple choice, because so you can get the data out. That's the way most of those are. And then so you got obviously all the. Where are you in the project? Are you moving forward? All that kind of basic stuff, which helped you produce that 2/3 are moving forward broadly. That was that 68% number.
Yes.
How did you distinguish I think I'll use your term, full steam ahead? You said one third were full steam ahead. How did you break that? What allowed you to break that down?
Yeah, to be quite honest, that was fairly subjective. We gave them multiple choices of not advancing. I can't remember the exact terminology, but something that's kind of like the project is dead.
Okay.
We gave them an option of we're still working toward it, but it's not. We're not. It's not the number one project that we're focusing on. And then we gave them the option of, we're doing everything we can to get this project done.
So based on those responses, you kind of took and made that division.
Right. And so, of course, we know that anytime you have responses from many different people, you're going to have a little bit of subjectivity in what does this mean. And again, that's where I think the interviews that we were able to conduct were helpful in, clarifying that.
Got it. And in the survey, you also asked about impediments.
Yes.
Did you list rent stabilization as a bullet to check?
We did, among, I think, 6 or 8 other
So what
options.
were the other things that you listed?
I would have to go back and look at that.
Just another reason
off
to
my
see
head,
the survey. Obviously, there's, one of the main questions I had was, I have no doubt that the development community would say rent stabilization was an issue, but putting what's on there and what's not, obviously, there's some sort of leading in that, in what is on the survey. That's just, but you have to make decisions around that. So I just wanted to understand how you did it. And then you selected a group to interview. 14, was it 14? The interviews, is that right?
Yes, we conducted 14 at the time of this. We have since conducted 2 additional interviews representing a number of projects. One of those was the largest affordable housing developer in the county. So we did not handpick those. We sent a follow-up to all of the questionnaire respondents and those who then were able to take the time to participate in the interview, responded to us, and we were able to set those up.
So you sent a note to the 47, saying, hey, would you like to do an interview? And then based on what you got back, whoever raised their hand is kind of how you got to the 48.
Yeah, and we did, of course, follow up multiple times.
I know, I'm sure you needed to,
but,
yep.
Yes, that's how it was done.
And the preliminary plan approvals, one of the takeaways from the interviews that was very telling to me, it said, quote, several interviewees expressed that it's common for projects to be approved for more units than they intend to build or can physically build. It goes on to say that given the preliminary plan approvals are among the earliest stages of a project and occur before detailed design, the approved units represent a maximum number, right? In your research or in the discussions, was there any thought process, or in your recommendations, one of the things that stuck out to me was like, maybe we shouldn't do it that way. Maybe we should base it on what is more realistic or some averaging, or not, because a lot's been said about the 30,000 number, which you cited at the beginning. I know we want to be aspirational, but we also want to be realistic. I think, particularly in this exercise, was there any thought, or are there any other jurisdictions doing anything differently of maybe changing the way that's presented or how it's submitted?
So let me just say, as Artie here, chair of the planning board, being a developer, you try to be realistic when you go for your preliminary plan. It's like, what can you fit in the box? But it's based on some assumptions of how much, how large is the unit, what's the unit mix, how many 1s, 2s, and 3s, where, what am I going to need for storage, what I'm going to need mechanical equipment and stuff like that. You're using like percentages and whatever. It's not fully laid out. But then once you get your site plan and preliminary plan approvals, then you do final engineering. So then you go and your architect does his final design, your mechanical and electrical do their final design, and then you're going back and forth. Okay, my electrical equipment is much larger than I need. I need a place for it. I need to take more space out of the garage. I have less parking spaces. I need to take more space out of the building. So it's a typical process of how developers develop projects. So and so you generally may likely end up with less units, less parking spaces than you originally had expected. It's just the process, okay? Sure. sometimes you can fit it on, or you may have to change your unit mix. The market changes. First, you thought you were going to have more ones than twos, and then you figure out, after more and more market studies, you figure out that maybe I need more twos than ones, so that means you get less units. So it's an iterative process, but you have to start somewhere. And then also, time is money. The first parts of your project, and sometimes, you spend the money you can't recoup, so you go through your preliminary plans, and sketch plan as best as you can, and then once you can figure out what the box is, how it all fits together, then you do your final, and that's where you can probably go and start getting money from, lenders and stuff like that for your project. So I'm just going to say it's an iterative process. You don't know, no one knows with best certainty at the beginning, and so
I appreciate that, and I think there obviously should be the developer should be saying, like, this is what, if I can fit the maximum, they should know that number, and that should be an internal goal, absolutely. I'm just saying for the process of the pipeline in the public conversation, I'm saying there could be a range, like this is the max it could be, this is the, or, something to just temper expectations or pad the landing, so to speak, of that if what you say in report is true, like, that's almost never what happens. Why should we even be using that number? It just doesn't make sense.
That was one of the goals of that new dashboard, to really have those two buckets, to have that initial pipeline number of around 29,000, but then these are the 15,000 that have all of their approvals that are able to go to permit right now if they were able to. And I think you're really communicating, like, one of the struggles with this project is that 30,000 number is so globally big, but we know that there's a lot of nuance there. So how do we update our data, our dashboard, to explain that nuance more clearly? One of the other things we're considering is having more project status information. A lot of other jurisdictions, as Bhavna stated, they follow it through the life cycle of the project. So could we have something like under construction that just shows a more realistic view of the pipeline?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I was going to mention that. I think the project status is that's a no-brainer, of just like, where are you with it, using the aerial. I think like all of the above, like how you did with that one project that was 20 years, you used the aerial to find that. I'm assuming that was probably new information to somebody when we looked, so I think doing all that is really helpful. The how long they've been in the pipeline, if we could go to that slide real quick. I saw it somewhere. There we go. So most 77% have been approved within the last 4 years. 14 have had their approval over 20 years ago. But you mentioned that, I think you said that those 14, are all of those represented in an amendment in the red somewhere else, every one of them?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's correct. If they would be off the pipeline if they weren't.
If they weren't, right, it would be gone. Okay. So, but for that bucket, because one of the things when we started this, and I was like, all right, well, why are people in here 20 years? What's going on? And I think the one GIS project was a 20-year one, right? I think I'd be interested to know more about what's happened, what the type of changes have been. Those are long time to be on, and what the amendments are and why. Did you get any color from that, from the interviewees?
Well, Alex can speak to the...
Or anything else you want to say, and then you can answer that part. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we did a whole extensive quantitative analysis on the January 2025 pipeline, but then sort of these new buckets and like the new data that came out in May and is about to come out again in September, we're hoping to do that analysis again and have that like kind of more nuanced data on the quantitative side to present to you at the next session.
Okay, great. Well, that'd be good to add on. And were there anyone in that 14 that was in that bucket?
Yeah, I will add that there was cabin branch development in the Clarksburg area, which is a large land development, residential development project that has been actively advancing over the last 20 years, and they are almost complete with construction. They have, I think, less than 40 units to be built. But they're still on the pipeline because that is a large multi-phase project, and it just takes a really long time to do that. So I think that really highlights how we can't just look at a number and say, oh, well, that's been on there for 20 years, it must be dead. you can slice and dice this data in so many different ways and find so many different insights, and you really have to look at it with nuance.
And then presumably there could be some on there that maybe were not respondees, that the projects are dead, maybe.
Yeah, right.
And you just don't,
right.
You don't know. To your point of maybe having an ability to track that through different methods, including a live person, which was one of your suggestions. On the delays for permitting and things that were brought up as some of the potential impediments, are you all is DHCA and DPS, are they a part of this? Have they been working with you on this in any way?
They have not. We did reach out to the Department of Permitting Services, the Deputy Director, Isan, to let him know our findings, just so that he's aware that this was in the plan. But and we plan to have them at the Department of Permitting Services at the next work session with the Planning Board. But other than that, we have not involved other agencies, although there was a question on the survey about which agency could you potentially need help from, and executive branch agencies were listed in that.
If there's a way between now and the time that we come back that you could have a conversation, at least with DPS, to just see, just to do some coordination, I think it would be more fruitful as opposed to just having them in here cold, when we come back. I think that would be helpful. The weak, one of the things that stuck out to me was this weak demand for job growth. Was that one of the things that you included, or was that a narrative choice?
That was one that really came out in the interview process. We did not include that in key impediments. And by the way, I need to make a correction. We did not include specifically rent stabilization among the key impediments on the survey. We had 10 selection choices, one of which was local policies. Local policies. So it was umbrella, and then we had a comment box, and that's where we received a lot of the rent stabilization comments, as well as then, again, in the interview process. So
the weak demand job growth one, which was selected by a decent number of interviewees, that was generated from them writing that in.
That was either generated by them writing it
in,
but largely in the interviews when we were talking mostly about what are the economic conditions, is your project penciling. A lot of what we heard was that, I think it's important to remember 90% of the pipeline is multifamily development projects, right? And a big driver of that style of development is the proximity to this live, work, play environment. And if you don't have the work part of that equation, especially if neighboring jurisdictions, obviously Northern Virginia has seen a lot of job growth in the last 20 years. That's really where the developers are looking and saying, I don't know if I can count on having this pipeline, so to speak, of potential renters who are coming in to work jobs in Montgomery County.
Right. There's always this question of jobs versus build the housing or get the jobs and then get the housing, and this chicken or egg. There's obviously they're intertwined. Yeah. But I think it's interesting that because you often hear well, there's so much demand for housing, which we know there's demand for housing affordability, absolutely. But then you're hearing, well, we're not building, their words, not mine, because there's not enough jobs. Those seem to be, and then it says later, if you dig into the background here, it says, well, there's, and I've said this all along, there's sophisticated people that are deciding these financial transactions. They can look at BLS data and what people are making and know how many people can afford to live in what they're building. And so this is, in that answer, it tells me they're factoring that into what they're going to build. So it's just, I think it's just important to note that. The other thing I wanted to note, if you go to the other jurisdiction slide, please, for a second. I know, I don't know which way it is, but I trust you. There we go. Okay. So my dear friends in Fairfax County, that we're same size, we always get compared to them. They have the best job growth in the world according to people who don't like Montgomery County. I disagree with that. I think we're a great place, and we've got a lot of job growth going on, and we've got a lot of people here. We can always do better. They have the same amount of unbuilt units in the pipeline as us, correct? Given within 1,000, and their job growth is great, and they don't have rent stabilization, which is the killer of everything supposedly.
You're right, but I would also recognize that they have also had more permits than we have of recent. So yes, their pipeline is similar, but they have seen more construction than we have.
Is the date of their data correct? Is that really 6 years old?
Yeah, they hadn't updated at the regular updates that other jurisdictions had, so this is from 2019.
Well, we can get, again, I'm using your chart here. I'm just saying, and I'm sure if the in size is a little higher, that's fine too. You can present that, bring that. But my point being, and there's other, DC, there's other places that are on here, I don't know how you got I don't even want to pronounce that, but that Canadian place, but I've never been there. But there's people, San Francisco, there's places on here, comparable size with much larger numbers of unbuilt. And I just think we just need to understand the context of, I don't think any other place on here other than DC, which has a different policy, has rent stabilization, and there's a lot of things in the pipeline. So I think to your point of like why things aren't being built, I think there's obviously a complex conversation here.
I would just add, kind of further clarify the distinction that Ms. Cavoni was making, that just because we have units in the pipeline, there's a difference between having units in the pipeline that aren't getting built and having units in the pipeline and having a steady flow of things being built.
Sure.
And so that's what, we can get a better sense of, as Ms. Cavoni says, and I recognize that number is old, but if we're seeing a lot of units in the pipeline in these places, but they're also getting a lot of activity, that is a little different than what we're seeing here.
Yeah, and obviously there's going to be differences. We're a different place, but we have 60. You said 68% of ours are moving forward in some way in the pipeline. 2/3, and when the folks are acknowledging that most of these aren't going to be built out already, we certainly want to incentivize that. But I just think it's an important point to remember that there's a lot of reasons there are unbuilt units in other jurisdictions, and we should dig into that more and dig into what our context-specific conversation is. Last thing I just want to do is just talk about the rent stabilization. I mean, you acknowledge in that kind of second line that it's only been around, 2 years the policy, a year with the regulations. Obviously, the vast majority of these projects have been in place prior to that, and I know no developer wants any fee or tax. There's always going to be a complaint or a concern, and that's always going to happen on what the policy apparatus is. I think I've mentioned to you guys before. I've gone and seen the microfilm on the MPDU law, at the libraries, and people didn't like that when it was happening. The development community, it was going to ruin Montgomery County. Now we are lauded as the best model of inclusionary zoning in the country. So, because of that law, I think it's way, way, way too early to draw any conclusions and make any policy recommendation changes around rent stabilization, given how recent it is and given how long this pipeline is and how many projects are in here. So I'm really concerned that I know you're being responsive to the 14 people in the interviews and what people are saying. I know it's a hot topic and there's a lot of fuel to that. But I just think if you step back from an analytical, I think to make any change on a policy, I wouldn't support, because I don't even think there will be data to support it at this point. So yeah, go ahead.
And the team can clarify a little bit more on this, because I didn't actually do any of the interviews. But I think my understanding is that what we're seeing here is that, yes, a lot of the projects predate the law being in place. However, these projects that have their entitlements, the 29,000 are the ones that 29,500 have at least that preliminary plan. The 14,700 is what have their site plan approval. And so those 14,000, their next step is going to permitting. But what they are doing during that phase is that they're taking care of the record plats, doing the construction documents, detailed engineering, and a big part of that is getting all their financing secured. So even though those projects were approved before this was put in place, what we were hearing was that at the stage where we're at right now, we're having a really difficult time getting the financing because people don't want to invest in these projects. So they've got all of their approvals. They can't move forward because of the financing issue, which is now. And so it's just had a chilling effect on the finance market is what we were hearing.
No, I get that, and I appreciate that. And obviously, we've had other projects like the one we're working on in White Oak and others that have come online with full knowledge of the law, knowing that in 23 years, after being able to charge whatever you want and bank your rent, all the things that we did to ease this concern, are still moving forward with with their financing. So I understand that, but I think we just need to dig more into that, and I think it's way too early to tell. I think that was the last point I wanted to make for now, but I think the impact fees piece, if there's any more color you can provide on that when you come back about specifically, because I've been on the council going on 7 years. We've cut impact fees every year, or every, multiple times in different ways, or maybe every 2 years. So I would just be curious to know, if there's any specific ones that people are talking about. Obviously, the big infrastructure group is going to handle that more broadly, which we need to talk about too. Thank you for your work. I really appreciate it. Look forward to round 2 and 3 and 4. All right.
I appreciate it. Look forward to coming back. This is a really robust discussion. Just a couple of points. When we come back, it would be helpful if you could get our colleagues that didn't respond or don't have anything posted past 2019 to see if you can get more updated information. I think that would be helpful. I also think if you can include as part of that conversation when we come back what's actually been built over the last 10 years in each of those jurisdictions. Because for all the conversation, we can't have our cake and eat it too here. The pipeline is being used as a weapon to say that we don't need any more housing. That's why we're here. That's how this topic started, was we don't need to approve any more housing because we already have enough housing in the pipeline. I've heard it at every single public conversation that I've had up to this point, and it has been repeated from public officials. That's why we're having this conversation today. It can't be both what's used to prevent housing and then an excuse for not doing it. It can't be both things. So we can't say we have a similar pipeline to other places and that proves something, and then what other people build versus what we're building, doesn't count. So let's have the real conversation. Let's make sure that we have all of the facts and information on the table, and let's talk about it. And let's discuss it. And we can't say we want to find out why things in the pipeline aren't being built and then not accept what we're hearing from the people who aren't building it. So, I just think we have to have a real conversation with all the data before us when we come back on the 27th. I don't think we're going to resolve every issue on the 27th. I don't want to set the expectation that's going to happen. But I think it's very important that if this is being used as a rhetorical strategy to make the case against housing options and against additional housing being available, then we need to talk about what is being built, what isn't being built, what it is, what it isn't, and make sure that we're doing the real comparisons to it. And whether we change the name or not, I think the point was an important point, which is to say the pipeline in many ways is like a salesperson going to their sales manager and saying, I have a ton of leads. And ultimately, the sales manager is going to ask, how many invoices do you have? Because the leads are only so much. They help you get to where you need to go, but ultimately you need the invoices. Nobody can live in a pipeline unit. And we have a housing availability and housing affordability crisis. So we have to address the real issues here and make sure that we're talking about it in a realistic way. So when we come back, if you could provide that information, I think it would be helpful. I look forward to the continued conversation, and I hope that we can focus this conversation on why it was being used and determine whether or not we have the information that we need to make the best possible decisions that we can. With that, thank you for all of your work. Thank you to staff for all of their efforts. Thank you to colleagues. And we are adjourned for those observing, wishing a happy, healthy new year, Shana Tova, and look forward to seeing everybody soon.